Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome to 3302. This is where I take a look at the news and happenings in and around Elite Dangerous. Today we're going to have a look at the release date for the Xbox version of the game and what that includes, the PC price drop for Horizons, the engineers and patch 1.6 release date, as well as a load of beta feedback from Sandro Sammarco, the lead designer of Elite Dangerous, and some information on Rise to Power. Great news for Xbox One owners of Elite Dangerous. On the 3rd of June, Horizons is going to be released. Now this will include both the Engineers update as well as planetary landings. On top of that, over the course of the rest of the season, you'll also be getting the multi-crew update, ship launch fighters, as well as avatar creation. Frontier also have a whole bunch of other updates up their sleeve that they haven't announced yet. One of them is likely to be the arrival of alien factions. Horizons for the Xbox will be sold in two forms. It will come as an upgrade to the base game priced at $19.99, and if you purchase this option you'll get to keep your progress, so you won't have to start from scratch again. There'll also be another version of the game called the Deluxe Edition, and this will set you back $39.99, that's in UK pounds, and that includes both Horizons as well as the base version of Elite Dangerous, in addition to a special pack of skins and a few other extras. Now, PC owners may have noticed the slightly lower price on Horizons there, priced at £19.99. That is also the new price for Horizons on the PC as well now. That price is available on both the Frontier store as well as on the Steam store. The Engineers and patch 1.6 finally have their release date. That is Thursday the 26th of May, so this week, not long at all. There's been a few weeks of beta testing. There's still quite a few outstanding issues and a good number of bugs, but that is par for the course at the moment for beta updates and patch updates with Elite Dangerous, but hopefully there's not going to be anything too game-breaking released. There's a huge amount of updated content within Horizons, and if you've watched my YouTube channel as well as the other YouTube videos around, you will know for yourself that there is a lot of stuff to look forward to. And if you're of the opinion that all of this still leaves the game feeling a little bit shallow, then don't forget there's still a number of other updates around the corner. 3 more in fact, patch 2.2, 2.3 and 2.4. Now, due to the fact that patch 2.1 was actually delayed by quite a significant amount of time, it has called into question the release schedule for the other upcoming patches, and a lot of people have been wondering if perhaps they would actually be released this year. Now, this has kind of been answered in a way with the recent live stream with Sandro Sammarco and Edward Lewis. When asked a question when are the Thargoids and alien races going to arrive into Elite Dangerous, Sandro Sammarco quoted David Braben as saying only "winter is coming." Now, that's a reference of course to Game of Thrones, but it's also quite likely a reference to the fact that patch 2.4 has got an initial release schedule for the winter period. Now, of course, winter does extend right up to March, but I suspect we'll still see patch 2.4 this year. And if that is the case, then it's very likely we're going to be getting some big patches over a very short time span, probably with the gaps of 2 months. Pure speculation on my part, of course, but if they want to get those patches out there this year, it seems very likely. So the Frontier livestream actually contained a lot of good feedback and answers from Sandro Sammarco on the recent beta, and I'll cover a few of those here now as highlights. If you're still interested though in watching the full Frontier livestream, you can see a link to that in the video description below. The livestream did of course contain a lot more information than I'm going to be able to go into here, but these are some of the standout points for me. Sandro Sammarco confirmed that full-blown ship damage models are not actually forgotten, but unfortunately Frontier have had to push it back a bit. Now there's no date as to when they can expect to see them in the game, but it's certainly something that's going to be coming. Ship naming is something that I personally want to see in the game, and I know it's something a lot of other people want to see in the game as well. Now Frontier are well aware of this and it's been discussed in their offices, but at the moment unfortunately nothing is happening. Seems a bit of a shame to me, and I really wouldn't have thought it'd be too difficult to implement, although of course I wouldn't know that because I'm not any type of coder. But then again, Frontier could have some other plans for this, so that could perhaps be one of the reasons we're not seeing anything on this just yet. There seems to be some problems in getting huge burst lasers correctly implemented into the game. Now Frontier haven't actually detailed what those problems are, at least I haven't seen that anywhere, but they have also said that if it continues on like this, they won't be able to put burst lasers or huge burst lasers into the final release of this patch. But if that does turn out to be the case, then they do have some backup plans. Now, all of these questions that Sandro Sammarco actually answered come from the forums and Reddit as well as chat. One of the questions was, are we ever going to see a superpower war? Now, to that, Sandro said he didn't actually want to make a comment, but he did say rather sneakily that they don't actually like each other. So for me, that kind of confirms that somewhere down the line, we're actually going to see a superpower war. That would be pretty great. This has been said many times before, but ship transportation is coming. That's the ability to have ships moved between stations without you actually having to do it yourself. Something I'd really like to see in the game myself. And he confirmed that that will actually happen in Season 2, but it's not going to be a part of patch 2.1. Right up there with the request for ship transportation are the request for module storage. Now, Frontier keeps saying that's something they want to do down the line, and they're still saying the same thing, but apparently it is very high up on the to-do list, and that's quite nice to know. In the regards to joining powers in Power Play, there is eventually going to be an option to join a power without actually being forced to join Power Play itself. For the explorers out there, as well as for those of you that like to see interesting objects in space, Sandro more or less confirmed that he believes Frontier are aiming to have comets in during Season 2. And now for those of you that may remember back when the first ability to sell discovery data was actually released, you may recall seeing that occasionally comets are actually a part of that data itself, and that's because the data points for comets have been in the game all along, but there's no actual objects in there to represent them. So that's coming sooner rather than later, and we also know that volcanic planets are on the cards, both lava type as well as ice type. The way we gain reputation with engineers within the game is due to change. Currently, the only way to gain reputation with engineers is to get them to keep crafting modules and weapons for you. This is going to be extended to allow reputation increases through bounty vouchers as well as exploration data, and hopefully a number of other activities as well, so throwing some variation into the mix. If you've been following along with the community for the engineers, you'll know that the RNG aspect of the special effects as applied to weapons is not being particularly favoured. Now, Frontier have taken that feedback on board and are prepared to make a fairly significant change. Now, this won't hit until after the release of 2.1, but what will happen is that you'll be able to request a specific special effect for a weapon at the cost of reputation with the engineer. The current method of spinning the Wheel of Fortune in order to get a special effect is still going to remain in place, but it's not going to be any longer the only method to get the special effect. In some ways, this simply shifts around the amount of work you've got to do onto something else. Instead of simply being about collecting the various materials, you'll now simply have to keep going out and increasing your reputation again. But at least this way, players are going to have the choice. And finally in this section, minor materials, which I assume Frontier mean rank 1 materials, the materials with just a single dot on them, are no longer going to be required for engineer crafting. That's as of beta 6, so that's live now in beta, and they're also not going to be used in any future engineers crafting either. So pretty much unless you need them for synthesis, you can get rid of them. The Dangerous Games Rise to Power has moved into its second phase. This competition is about allowing a player-run group to become a power within the galaxy. Phase 1 and Phase 2 are all about determining the wildcard. The wildcard group will be the 6th group that will have to compete with the other 5 on the live servers for the privilege of becoming the power. Last week, the community completed voting on choosing which 5 factions should actually compete for becoming a wildcard. You can see the results for all of the factions that actually entered for the wildcard, but these are the results for the top 5. E.g. Pilots got 25.5% of the votes, Wolves of Jonai got 15.5%, Adele's Adama Coalition got 15.3%, Blackbird Squadron 10.7%, and United German Commanders Coalition 9%. So these 5 groups are going to go through to the competition on the beta server to determine who's going to be the winner and enter the final games as the wildcard. In further news related to the Dangerous Games, Tiberius of Mikun has released the following video. This is from the Border Coalition, one of the 5 main groups competing in the Dangerous Games themselves.
I've been there, starting from scratch. There's something beautiful about it though, because it's about the journey. And if anyone knows that, it's a trucker. No, I'm not talking about those corporates. I'm talking about the independents. The ones who started in a sidewinder and worked their way up. Nothing handed to them by a suit.
To see the full video, check out the link in the video description below. As we know then, the engineers and patch 1.6 are going to be released onto the live servers on May the 26th. With that in mind, Frontier are going to do a live stream for the release day, and that's going to be on Thursday at 1 PM BST. Ed Lewis, as usual, will be doing this live stream, and he's hoping to have David Braben along with him. So that brings us to the end of this episode of 3302. By the time the next episode hits, many of us should be well into playing around with the engineers as well as a patch of 1.6. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time. Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant, and welcome back to Elite Dangerous. We're having a look at the engineers patch again. Today I want to have a look at the planetary surfaces. Now I have had a look at these in the previous videos, or at least a little bit of a look, but this time I want to have a much closer look. Now I want to have a look down here, because as you're probably aware, the planetary surfaces have had some graphical updates in this patch. Now the environment here is an icy planet, and you can see the subsurface scattering in effect. That's an effect that has been in place for a very long time with Horizons, but it's well worth having a look at for the start of this video. Now out here, I'm in the depths of space, right near the core of the galaxy.